is that the United States government, whatever they may do, we need them to understand to support Israel. Joe Crowley's loss yesterday means there's one less congressperson supporting Israel. The new congressperson that will be elected probably this year has made statements anti-Israel. She is as close to Linda Sarsour, if you know that person, than anybody else here. The danger is that she and her blogs have talked about the killers of the Israeli military and the sad protesters in Gaza. The sadness is that the New York Times, founded in the 1860s by a Jewish family, has totally lost their direction. The New York Times editorial may support Israel, but the images of the New York Times day after day is always slanted against the state of Israel. And that's the thing that we have to do, is that we have to say, from a media point of view, enough is enough. You have to stop encouraging terror. You have to stop telling people, I'm not a protester, I'm a terrorist. Protesters don't put bombs on kites. Protesters don't set fires to kites that then set the farming fields in terms of Israel on fire. That's not what protesters do. You have the freedom of speech, yeah, go demonstrate. But everyone that was killed during the problems in Gaza were members of Hamas. These were not just general people out there protesting and demonstrating.
They admitted to that.
That's true. But now Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld from Young Israel, Kew Garden Hills, had called us, and he is quite concerned about this, and he is really the impetus of what we did here. We thank you, Rabbi, for bringing it to our attention. But what's more important is there must be about 50 people here, if you want to give a count. If I was someone else, I was at 5,000. Unfortunately, you know, some of us have to tell the truth once in a while. It's not hurt. But we're going to get into politics, right? But it's important here, and the leadership in the community, from the rabbinical leadership and the lay leadership, and anyone who's running for office, you have to make a stand and you have to speak up. If you shy away and you refuse to say something, you're complicit. If you refuse to stand up and say something, you're complicit. And you have to speak out to your neighbors and everyone else you got to do. So I want to just turn the microphone over to the rabbi, and then we'll ask some other people to speak. Rabbi?
Michael, I want to thank you and Cynthia. Rabbi Keen's here, past president of the Queens Jewish Community Council, that was so much involved in putting this together. It's a first attempt. We'll grow. This is a great beginning. We'll grow from here. I also want to give special thanks to Michael, because it's not easy for him on a personal level, because he is the publisher of a newspaper himself, the Queens Tribune. And for him to go out on a limb and sort of rub elbows with lock horns, I should really say, with another newspaper is on a very personal level and a great undertaking, so we appreciate that all the more so.
Thank you.
The New York Times, and I mentioned this when I spoke to Shul Shabbos, and I want to also thank all those local politicians that are here running for important political office. We'll get a chance to mention them later. But the New York Times, it's not just a matter of, well, they're not nice to Israel, so Israel gets a bad reputation. It's much more serious than that. The New York Times sets the agenda for the political discourse in the United States and beyond, whether we like it or not. What they say becomes the point of discussion. Now, when they have this biased reporting against Israel, it does not just bad imaging for Israel, it causes material, physical damage. Kids who are soldiers in Israel, every kid becomes a soldier in Israel, have lost their lives because they are so concerned about what the media is going to say if they kill this terrorist on the spot. Because after all, the world doesn't think they're terrorists, they think they're just protesters. And so this causes actual physical damage to good people in Israel. So now, even though that everybody's using the term fake news, in Israel, in the New York Times, they have fake news down to an art. So even the real news is fake. you really do have protesters at the foot of the Gaza Gate. You really do have children that are being hurt. But the real story behind it is that these are not just innocent protesters. These are terrorists organized by Hamas. And these are kids have no business being there. I think Yaakov said that, Yechiel said that before. They have no business. Which normal mother takes their kid to a battleground? And so when the Israelis fight back, and these are people who have said that we are here to break this fence, a fence like this, go out and capture as many Israelis as we can and tear their hearts out. Tear their hearts out. This was their mission, this is what their goal. And remember that Gaza was entirely given back by the Israelis under the most painful conditions. And they left them hothouses, and they left them an infrastructure, they left them synagogues, which they of course burnt. They had to, the Israelis had to remove the dead in the ground because they knew they would be desecrated. But that you didn't see written about the times. You didn't see about the desecration of the synagogues and the temples. That you didn't see. And you don't see when these people are going on saying we want to kill Israelis and tear their hearts out. It's buried somewhere in the story. The storyline becomes that in Gaza they had protesters, a couple of kites, and now the Israelis are shooting back, and you see pictures of grieving mothers on the other side. Yes, it's real. The mothers are grieving. Why are they there? What are they doing there? They're there for terrorist purposes, and that's why Israel did what any normal country can do. And we have to give a great, in Yiddish we call it a shekayach, but a great tribute to the likes of Nikki Haley, who put this all in this knowing language. Who made this plain for all to see that there's no nonsense here. So we are here really to show, to express to the New York Times that we are very outraged by the way they report their pictures, which are real pictures. They don't doctor them, but they're lies. I'm going to leave you with this one story. My father, I remember telling us this many years ago. He took a trip with his rabbinic colleagues in the Rabbinical Council of America. They went up north to Kiryat Shmona. There's always rocket action up north near Lebanon. And, there were little Arab kids running around then. And it so happens that there were people from the media that were there. I'm not sure if this was before the days of cable news, but there were people from ABC, CBS. They were there, and the New York Times reporting on the skirmishes that were going on. They were given a special tour by the military, so they penetrated as far as you possibly can. And then my father witnessed this. People from the media came out with chocolate out of their pockets, gave it to the little kids. And these Arab little kids start saying, "Can you cry for us?" They explained it to them in Arabic. "Can you cry for us?" And they started shedding tears. Click, 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 and the cameras went. And that's the picture that appeared in the papers the next day in the New York Times of these poor kids crying. So this is fake news is not around just now. It's not just haunting Trump. Fake news has been around for a long, long time. And the Times has become the specialist in that, and they find that's the news to fit the print that fits their agenda. So I'm very glad we had this gathering today. I thank you, Michael, and we're keeping the torch going. What's that? And we're going to call and ask Rabbi Keene, a former president of the PJCC, to say.
Thank you. I can't say it better than Rabbi Schoenfeld and Michael Nussbaum. Thank you everybody for coming. Maybe some of the steps we could take in the next couple of weeks, next couple of steps are not every obituary has to be paid for the New York Times. Maybe not every society, every time somebody gets married, do we have to put an ad in the society pages? Maybe let's try to hit them in their pocket. I mean, again, it's a small little thing. We're not gonna, it's not, may or may not affect it. And when and if you can't, and when and if you cancel your subscriptions, tell them why. They take note of it. Tell them why they take note of it. Once again, I can't say it more better than Rabbi Schoenfeld and Michael Nussbaum. We need to hold them to the standard that they want, that they like to be held to. Truth is truth, lies are lies. Thank you very much.
You notice all the traffic slowing down to read our signs, right? So we have two people that happen to be running for a local office. And if somebody who's running to be an elected official wants to come out here and support Israel, I don't care where they stand, as long as they stand in terms of supporting Israel. So let me just ask him to say something briefly. And if I can have David Bresler, who's running for the New York State Assembly.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. I'm David Bressler. I'm running for the New York State Assembly, District 26 in Bayside, Little Neck, Whitestone, and Douglaston. This is really not a political issue in my eyes, okay? Israel is the strongest ally in the Middle East, and all Americans should stand by Israel, okay? You know, and not just, I'm not saying that being a Jew, all Americans should be behind them. And I'll just tell you a quick story, you know, in the local, we're lucky here in the metropolitan area, we don't get maligned being a Jewish person. But I went to school in SUNY Binghamton. Now, SUNY Binghamton, the student population is 75% Jewish. You go outside the university, and it's very anti-Semitic. And being a 20-year-old and seeing that for the very first time was extremely disturbing. And then as you get older and you see the New York Times, a great publication, as the rabbi said, spreading fake news against our strongest ally, and being a Jew is very hurtful. So, Michael, I'm not a politician that believes in this. Yeah. I'm a Jew that's been very proud and make my parents proud, and I'll support any issue that defends the Jewish and Israel. Okay.
We have Vicky Palladino, who's also running for office, who's involved, and we're going to give everyone a chance to say something.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And I want to say thank you I'm very happy to be here and to be part of this movement. We have to understand that Netanyahu finally has a friend in America, and that's Donald Trump.
Yay!
And what we believe in, that the capital of Israel being Jerusalem, is how it should be, how it used to be, and now it will be again. We are undivided. My name ends in a vowel, okay? I'm not a Jewish girl. However, not yet. My sister is. She converted to Judaism, but this has got nothing to do with any of that. What I'm here to say is simply this. We must stand together and fight against the liberal left that is trying, the progressive liberal left that is trying desperately to change our way of thinking. We must stand firm with Israel. We will stand firm with Israel. I am running for the New York State Senate. This is a political matter. This is against the New York Times. This is pro-Israel, and that's what I'm all about. Vicky Palladino running for the 11th district.
Whose car is behind the bus?
We have another candidate running, Tom Sullivan, also.
Getting a ticket.
Just a few words, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I've served this country for 25 years in the military. I'm still serving. I understand the dynamic out in the Middle East. I understand the plight of Israel, and I support it 100% what's going on. God bless you for being out here. It's all about community, and you're representing today, and we'll have 500 out next time.
Yeah.
Testing. So before we're taken away by the police officers, remember something. This election yesterday, it's important that you express your views to make sure that the next congressperson that represents the majority of Queens understands. And I'm going to say one thing. There's one person who's a congresswoman, and her name is Grace Meng. Grace is a very, very powerful individual now in the United States. She's the vice chairman of the Democratic National Committee. She's on the Ways and Means. She has authority. She is the only congressperson now that's wholly in Queens County that supports the state of Israel. JCRC, which I'm a board member, has taken her and many other elected officials to Israel. It's important that everyone here calls her office and gives their opinion to let her know how important it is that we need a congressperson in Washington that supports the Israeli government and the issues that are important to the state of Israel and important for the Jewish community of the United States.
And thanks her for her support.
And she's always there for us, and we are thanking her, and we've been there for her as well. Okay? So, listen, we're going to take a couple more pictures, okay? And then you can escape to the bus. Some of us have cars on the other side, so I guess the bus will just drive over there.
Allow me just to part with these words, too. It says the New York Times, stop encouraging terror. We have to realize this is not just an Israeli-Jewish issue. But when the Times and that media give a tailwind to Hamas, the message goes out to terrorists everywhere throughout the globe. Hey, terrorism works. They're supporting the terrorists. Terrorism works. It affects us here, in Paris, in Britain, in Germany, throughout the world. When you start encouraging the likes of Hamas, you get bombs here, bombs in Paris. That's why this message is
So let's just take one more group photo, okay? Everybody get there. Hold up those signs.
Watch it going.